control for most of this game. They had the turnover late that made things scary. Besides that, the offense was pretty surgical for the most part. Drew Messemaker had another great game. The backs had a great game. Josh, what did you think about the offense as a whole from the Army game?
I'm really impressed with the running game. At the end of the day, you know, to have backs that go into kind of a committee. We saw Hawkins get in the end zone 4 times. McDowell had over 100 yards. That's a big thing for this offense, especially to set up what they want to do.
Yeah, 100%.
So building on that, you had 200 combined rushing yards between Hawkins and McGill, as well as 5 total rushing touchdowns between the 2 lead backs as well. Another good day from Messemaker, 249, and looks like 1 touchdown there on 26 to 36. You know, not super flashy numbers, but he continues to take care of the ball. No interceptions through 4 games. I think that's huge. This time last year, Chandler Morris, 6 interceptions at this point. And so, you know, even though Messemaker hasn't had super flashy numbers this season, he continues to take care of the ball, and he's not giving games away. He's making the other team earn everything, and I think that's been huge so far for UNT.
Something about Chandler Morris and interceptions, you know? You just can't stay away from him. Matthew, tell me what you thought about the UNT offense against Army.
I totally agree with Houston with his take on Messemaker. I mean, Messemaker's not trying to win the game. He's doing exactly what he needs to do, just manage the game. He's having no turnovers so far, and he's spreading the love out. Miles Coleman, Wyatt Young, Landon Sides, the list goes on. A lot of receivers and running backs out of the backfield are feeling the love. So I love what Messemaker's doing. I feel like he works great in this Eric Morris system, and I mean, when you put up 45 points, you should always win. Obviously, the defense didn't do great, but 45 points, 45 points. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, and speaking of the defense, we kind of saw some old UNT pop up. We kind of saw some old colors for UNT. Wasn't happy with the run defense. It's been a little bit of a point of concern throughout the season. Against Western Michigan, they ran the ball well as well. Whoever wants to jump in, go for it. What do you think about the run defense so far, and is this going to be a problem for the future?
I think that, yeah, you know, when you look at the numbers, at the end of the day, it's not the best in terms of this run defense, but you're also looking at it like, you know, you're playing Army, who run the triple option, who, at the end of the day, frustrate you. They will absolutely pound the rock. They will go at you with this triple option. They're not going to let off it. It's their bread and butter. So it's kind of expected in a game like that when it's one of the big things that they do. But going forward, I think that at the end of the day, there are things to improve of. That is definitely the weakness of this team. But so far, I think besides the run defense, turning over the football and getting it back to your offense has been huge for this defense. If they can do that consistently, I think that really they're going up.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, the way the Army ran the ball was obviously not great from a UNT defensive perspective. But I really think that if you cut out just a couple of big explosive plays, that 75-yard run early on specifically kind of boosted that yards per carry average that UNT for largely did really not that bad of a job if you take out a couple of key plays. Now, UNT did do something I don't think any of us ever seen, and that's get beat over the top on a pass play by Army. On 4th and 3 with 2:56 left, 68-yard touchdown bomb. That was really what killed us. You had a chance to put them away, you get the touchdown called back, and then you're getting ready to get off the field defensively, and then that happens. That's how you end up in overtime, and you know, luckily we're able to get out of the game with a win, but you cannot continue.
Freaking started me. I was like, excuse the bug. I was like, holy.
Badass bug just like came for Matthew's life.
Yeah.
welcome back into Mean Green Game Day. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We had some problems there. Last thing you heard us talk about was UNT versus Army and the run defense. Let's continue on that. The run defense was lackluster to say the least. Josh, what did you see from that game, and what allowed Army to move the ball so well against UNT, especially in the second half?
I think it's just what they do well. They run that triple option so well, and it's their bread and butter at the end of the day. But I think going forward for this UNT defense, they've had two tough run-style offenses on the road. Of course, that is kind of the weakest point of this team, but I think if they can kind of get that sorted out and take away the football, like I mentioned earlier, that's going to be huge for them going forward.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, it's really a contrast of styles, the way the Army runs the football, and then UNT's defensive line is very much so more of a pass rush style defensive line. A lot of smaller guys, not too many guys, much more than 300 pounds on the interior of that defensive line for UNT. So moving forward, you know, against some run-heavy teams like that might give UNT some trouble, but I'm confident that they're improving moving forward.
I agree with Huston. I mean, he says the weight and size of our guys. I mean, when they double team, guards pull, and our linebackers need to be disciplined on that. Read the keys, read guard, tackle, pull, read if the tight end's in motion. So they just got to be disciplined on the defensive side of the ball for me.
Yeah. Now, the thing I wonder about the most with UNT is how good are we? How good is this UNT football team? Because we beat Washington State big, and they weren't very good. Okay? They're just not a very good football team. But you won big. That's what you're supposed to do against bad teams.
Yeah.
We hung around with Western Michigan way too long. They had us dead to rights and nearly beat us. Army's not a very good football team, and we almost blew a lead to them. We're 4-0. We could be 5-0 for the first time since 1959. How good is this football team? Because I can't tell.
I think it's hard because of these matchups. Obviously, when you go back and look at all of these matchups and you look at the records and you look at kind of how they're performing, it's hard to kind of find a clean area where we're at. But I do think, obviously, in 2 weeks coming out of this bye after this game tonight, we have South Florida. That is the biggest test of this year going into conference play. That should really show us where we are.
I agree.
Well, I think kind of, you know, adding on to what Josh said there is, you know, we had a couple close games against some teams that maybe weren't so good in Army and Western Michigan. But I think what you see in both those games, on the road, you know, it's a new team. A lot of guys weren't here last year, so they're still kind of getting used to the chemistry that it takes to play on the road. And also in both cases, if you notice, there was a quarterback change that Western Michigan and Army both went through, and it was around that time that the defense really started to struggle. When Western Michigan made their quarterback change, that's when they started going on those long drives that just took forever to get, you know, for the defense to get off the field. Same thing with Army. They take out Helms, Coleman starts moving the football, and then all of a sudden Army's back in the football game. So I think the more important question is not how good are we now, it's how good are we gonna be. And I don't even think we've scratched the surface of that yet.
Yeah.
Fair.
I love that take, and I think Western Michigan's actually a pretty decent football team. I think they're one-dimensional, but I think they're really good at that one dimension. In week 1, they played Michigan State. They kept that one pretty close. They've got some wins now. But UNT, their offense ceiling is like through the roof. I think the offense can do great things. I mean, the way Eric Morris runs that air raid offense, I love the way he does that. Defense, I mean, I'm a big Skylar Cassidy fan. I like the way he runs his defense. No more 3-man fronts for the most part, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. But I mean, I think it's just being disciplined. I think this team's very good. I think they can be good, and they know they can be good. They just need to execute on all opportunities that they have and be disciplined.
UNT's going to have to do something that they haven't done before, and that's handling success. They've never been in a position where the target's going to be on their back. Right now, the Rabbits got the gun right now, okay? UNT for the longest time has been the underdog. Now they're the favorite. They're double-digit point favorites against South Alabama. We're going to see if they can handle the success and carry this over into the next week. Speaking of, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about some of our best bets, our locks of the week. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Mean Green Game Day.
Located at the University of North Texas. It has computers, printers, and the building is open 24/7. By going online, you can book up to an hour of reserved space and one of the many private study rooms. Many of them are equipped with whiteboards, a table, and a TV to hook up to your computer. Textbooks can be checked out for free with a student ID. They also have many of these in ebook forms. This is still a library, so always remember to be quiet and respectful of other surroundings, especially in certain places where talking is not allowed. For example, the 3rd and 4th floor are completely quiet. As you can see, Willis Library has many options for students, with it offering many media sources and staying open all the time.
Are you tired of seeing the same old city? You want to learn something and go overseas? Then study abroad with one of many UNT Study Abroad programs. You can find a study abroad office right here at Markey Hall, room 145.
My study abroad program left on me a great impression. We have a lot of different programs and it varies. We have faculty-led, affiliate, and exchange programs. When you're ready to leave for your study abroad program from UNT, you're gonna go through the Canvas, you're gonna go through pre-departure, orientation, and modules.
The power to turn the world into your classroom is right here at UNT with our study abroad programs. Take flight and take in charge of your education.
Welcome back into Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott. We talked about UNT versus Army the previous week. Now we're going to move on to some more national college football landscape. We're going to talk best bets. You know, sports betting, especially in college football, has always been a fun little subculture of the sport. We're going to talk about some of our locks throughout the week. Josh, I'm going to start with you. Give me some things that you feel confident in going into this week.
I'm very confident in a lot of these picks. I'm going to go with my first pick. Notre Dame -4.5, under 60 points. Look, the Irish are coming off a huge win versus Purdue that's kind of got them back on track. They're 1-2. Arkansas is coming off a very tough loss to Memphis in a game that they should have won. They lost. And so I really think that Notre Dame's going to have a big day. Jordan Faison is going to have a huge connection with CJ Carr. I like Notre Dame at 4.5 and under 60 points. Continuing on, I like Kansas at -4.5. Cincinnati has not been good this year. Kansas is starting to roll up a little bit. They're 3-1 on the year, coming off a huge win versus West Virginia. I think Jalen Daniels has been phenomenal to start this season. I think they're going to have a big day. Kentucky, 5.5 favorites over South Carolina. Lawrence Sellers obviously still kind of working back from the concussion. He played last week, but this Kentucky team is sneaky. I think they're a really good team. They could easily upset South Carolina here. And finally, Hawaii at 6.5 versus Air Force. Air Force has been phenomenal to start the year, but Hawaii has one of the best secondaries in the Mountain West. They're going to force Air Force to have to throw the ball. That's something they're not really used to. I think this Hawaii team is sneaky good in the Mountain West.
I got a couple of thoughts. One, I kind of like the Notre Dame play. Even though it's at Arkansas, there's a dynamic in play with these high transfer portal teams that I call the mercenary effect. You know, a long time ago, whenever they would hire mercenaries to fight in wars, if they were losing, they would just leave because they'd only get paid if they won. It's kind of like that with transfer portal kids. They're only going to stick around and be bought in if they're winning. The moment stuff hits the fan and they start losing, they mentally check out. They're not going to play as hard because they're not loyal to Arkansas.
Yeah.
So if things have spiraled out of control for Arkansas, I can see Notre Dame winning this one in a rout. Kentucky and South Carolina at 5.5. I really like that one because Kentucky's going to bog this game down and be slow. South Carolina, a third of the points they've scored this season have been on defense or special teams. The offense has been really bad, so I like that play for Kentucky.
Yeah, I also kind of agree with the Notre Dame pick. I mean, Notre Dame is in that position where their backs are kind of against the wall, and 4.5, not a very big spread, so I do like Notre Dame to cover against Arkansas on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Notre Dame's a very good team. I mean, they lost to Texas A&M by 1 point, then Miami by 7, I believe. That's 2 top 10 teams, one of them being a top 3 team, I believe. I think Notre Dame is still a very, very good football team. I love Marcus Freeman. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football, and I think that is a lock, to say the least.
Houston, what you got?
So I know this is going to be Matthew's favorite part because I made the mistake of picking some games that happened on Friday night. So I know that graphics is going to make me an honest man today, so I got to own up to my mistake. So we're going to go ahead and start off with those. 24 hours ago, I really liked Florida State by 6.5 over Virginia. You know, to me, that was I really highlighted the quarterback battle on that between Tommy Castellanos and Chandler Morris.
Yeah.
I really just thought that Chandler Morris was going to turn the ball over too many times for them to overcome that, and he did turn the ball over a lot, but Castellanos kind of equalized that. I mean, there's a lot of turnovers from the other side as well.
Did they cover?
No. Virginia won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear the next
man.
Yeah. So, you know, what you didn't hear is before the show when Matthew said he actually agreed with that pick before it happened. So I just want to make sure that's out there as well. But yeah, and really, also for me, Virginia had the only power team that had beaten this year was Stanford. You know, 48-20, and I just needed them to see them beat somebody that wasn't Stanford power-wise before I could pick them over a top 10 team even at home. That one didn't work out for me. The other one that didn't work out was, you know, the last-second loss between Arizona and TCU. I had TCU as 2.5-point dogs against Arizona State.
If you got in on that earlier, you could have got the 3.5, and TCU would have covered.
Well, you see, Wyatt, I was trying to get the more accurate spread there and wait till the end, so that one came back on me. I've been talking crap about Sam Levitt all season long, and to me last night, Sam Levitt grew up.
Yeah,
He really did. 27 to 39, 291 and 2 tutties. He outplayed Josh Hoover by far.
Yeah.
And with no Kavorian Barnes for TCU, that became a much bigger deal than I originally anticipated. They just could not get that offense going on the ground, and it became a one-dimensional offense that didn't work out for TCU. Now, the other two that I still have intact, I'm taking BYU by 6.5 over Colorado. Colorado is not looking good to this point. They're 0-2 against power opponents to this point. Quarterback battle still going on there. Not even really entirely sure who we're going to see today. You have to assume probably Caden Salter, but we really don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that BYU is the much better team there. I highlighted this. LJ Martin for BYU, 8.6 yards per carry. I don't know if Colorado's run defense can hang with that. And because of Indiana last week, I had to take Indiana by 7.5 over Iowa. I just think that, the only way that Iowa can really cover that is if they make this game just ugly. If they do what they did to Iowa State, just turn it into an ugly game, I think that, in any other scenario, Indiana's going to cover 7.5 pretty easy over Iowa in that scenario.
You had some bad beats there with Florida State getting upset. Florida State getting upset, and then, of course, TCU not covering. They were winning the majority of that game, and then Sam Levitt happens. Arizona State happens. Great comeback. They cover the 2.5. Matthew, I'm going to go to you now. Give me your locks of the week.
Before I start, if y'all are betting people, he's 0-2, by the way, so maybe listen to, the three of us and maybe not him. But my first lock, which I'm very confident, I got Tennessee minus 7.5. Every single game that they've played in, they've scored at least 41 points, and that includes the loss to Georgia. I think Joey Aguilar in that offense is just explosive as it gets, might be the most explosive offense in college football. Mississippi State has only put up more than 40 once, and that was against Alcorn State. Can y'all name anybody from Alcorn State?
I can't say I can.
Didn't think so. And I think Mississippi State, they're quietly 4-0, but I think they're a little bit overrated. I'm not high on Mississippi State, but I do like their new head coach. I think he's run things good, but I think Tennessee's just too big of a step in competition for them. My next lock is going to be a team we've talked about in Western Michigan, a team that UNT played and UNT beat. People are saying they're not that great at competition. I think they're a little bit better than they are. I like their quarterback. I like Jane Buckley. They just had a huge win against Toledo, who's the favorite in the MAC, so I'm high on them. And they play Rhode Island. Rhode Island is an all-right team. They have a good record, but recently, 2 weeks ago, they played 0-4 Holy Cross and beat them 9-7.
Cool.
I'm not very confident in a team that only beats Holy Cross by 2, so I'm taking Western Michigan minus 7.5. Then my next lock, which Wyatt would say is a little bit sicko alert, sicko would be Miami of Ohio minus 20.5 versus Lindenwood. Do y'all know where Lindenwood is?
I do. Jersey? Is it Jersey?
I don't know.
Matthew don't know.
Lindenwood, I mean, Miami, Ohio is 0-3, so that's why it may be a little bit sicko, but Lindenwood's 2-2, and they recently lost to St. Thomas. Yeah, you don't know where the school is? It's in Minnesota. They're a D2 school, I believe. They might be FCS D1, but give me Miami, Ohio, minus 20.5. Then my last lock of the league will be LSU versus Ole Miss. I think this is going to be a very sloppy, gross game. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of mistakes. I think it's going to be about maybe 17-20, 20-23 game. I don't know who's going to win. I have a pick for that, but I'm going under 52.5 for that game.
Yeah. I always try to caution myself to not take too many road teams. That's always scary. I always like to take teams home, especially in college football. In the NFL, you can kind of ignore where they're playing at.
They're professionals.
But in college football specifically, road games are always have so much high variance. They're so unpredictable. The Tennessee game kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Mississippi State. And so we're going to see what we get there. Let me go through mine. I got Duke minus 4.5. I think Darian Mensah and the offense has really came alive the last few weeks. Illinois just got splattered by USC, or excuse me, they just got splattered by Indiana. They take on USC this week. What am I talking about? They're not playing Illinois. They're playing Syracuse. Wrong orange team. They're playing Syracuse. Syracuse just lost Steve Angeli to an Achilles rupture for the rest of the season. Ricky Collins is now their starting quarterback. I've been fading Syracuse the entire season. I think they got very lucky against Clemson. I think Clemson's kind of in free fall mode. I'm going to go with Duke minus 4.5. Indiana first half minus 4.5. Iowa's defense has historically been great. They've been down this year. They just don't have the horses to keep up anymore. Indiana put up 63 last week against Illinois. I think the offense is really good. We got the fireworks going in the background. I'm fired up. I'm fired up here in front of DATCU. I like Indiana minus 4.5 to jump out in this one. Washington plus 9.5. You had to get this number early. If you waited till the end of the week, it came all the way down to 7.5. This is a money line sprinkle for me. I think that Washington can win this thing outright. I think Damon Williams is one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and the public is going to wake up to him this weekend. And lastly, Georgia minus 2.5 or minus 3. It depends when you got it. I think this thing opened up at 3 and it got bet down to 2.5. Georgia's won 29 games in a row at home. I'm not going to bet against them until they prove me wrong. If I'm wrong because Georgia loses their first home game in 30 games, I'm wrong. But for now, I'm going to take the dogs. Does anyone have any comments, any underdogs this week that you think could pull off a big upset?
I don't have any underdogs, but I say if you are going to take one bet, I would say Indiana first half, just because the fireworks, that wasn't playing. So if you're going to take one,
that's good
take
juju.
Indiana first half. That must be good juju or something, but that's all my thoughts when it comes to that.
Any comments on some money line sprinkles, some underdogs that you think could win outright?
I mean, that BYU defense is scary.
Yeah.
They didn't allow a touchdown until, I don't think they have one this year on defense. Last week they had 17 yards rushing allowed. That's ridiculous. I had to look at it twice on ESPN. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, the underdog I went with this week already lost. So I don't know if my opinion really matters on that topic.
Houston, you had a rough week.
You did.
And the week hasn't even started. And you've already had a rough week.
Yeah.
How do you bounce back after some bad losses?
Well, after I went against Indiana last week, I'm really banking on them to kind of boost my record for the best bets this week. They looked incredible. You know, Fernando Mendoza with 5 passing touchdowns last week, so I'm really banking on them. But a medium spread of 7.5, so that's kind of the pick I was most confident in anyways. And then, like I said, Colorado 0-2 against power opponents this season. I think BYU might be the best team they've played all season long. If I'm not mistaken, the only top 25 team they played to this point. So, you know, we remember what BYU did to Colorado last year in the Alamo Bowl, so I think it'll be a repeat of that, if anything.
It's interesting with Colorado, too, because this is kind of the first time Deion Sanders is going through a quarterback battle.
That's true.
And it's really not looking good.
It has been rocky so far for Colorado in the Rockies. We're going to move on. We're going to talk about what happened last week. Texas Tech wins. Indiana wins in big fashion. We'll talk all about it next, coming up on Mean Green Game Day.
Looking to open a free checking or savings account but don't know where to start? Check out DATCU Credit Union right here on campus. Get your Mean Green debit card instantly or apply for a DATCU Visa credit card today. Your school, your card. Plus, make deposits at their 24/7 ATM, checks or cash whenever you need it. Make sure to sign up for DATCU's online banking platform and mobile app for easy access anytime, anywhere. Visit them at www.datcu.org to learn more. DATCU, the official financial institution of UNT Athletics.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I am your host, Wyatt Schott. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened last week. Texas Tech wins in big fashion at Utah. It was a sluggish game, and where I thought the offenses would thrive in that one, the defenses took over. They were the stars of the show. There was a quarterback injury for Texas Tech. It didn't matter. They bounced back. They played great. They won the football game. Josh, what are your initial thoughts from Texas Tech traveling to Utah and winning big?
I thought this was going to be tough at the end of the day. When you think about it, they're going into a hostile environment against a phenomenal Utah offensive line. They've got 2 first-round tackles going in this game. Look, he's getting hyped up. I'm ready to go, man. I'm about to run out of that field right now. Either way, Utah looked like a very good team. Texas Tech, that defense was phenomenal. They have a huge schedule going forward that they could easily be favorites in every single game. This is easily probably a lock for the playoffs for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of to agree with what Josh said. I've been singing Devin Dampier's praises all season long, but going into that Texas Tech game, I really thought that was going to be his first power test since transferring to Utah, and he had a performance similar to the one I thought he would have. You know, 25 of 38 for 162, 2 interceptions. He's taking great care of the ball all season long, but against that better Texas Tech team, just wasn't there. He wasn't efficient on the ground either, only 27 yards on 11 carries. Texas Tech, with that quarterback injury that you mentioned, Will Hammond, the backup, comes in, throws 13 to 16 for 169 and 2 touchdowns. He also carries the ball 8 times for 61 yards in relief of Baron Morton. So this is a great backup quarterback for Texas Tech too, in case Baron Morton's not able to go today.
Yeah, Matthew, what'd you think?
I mean, people talked about on game day and stuff, they highlighted Utah's offensive line like Josh did, but the people who were on showcase, in my opinion, was Texas Tech D-line. Through the transfer portal, they recruited so many high-touted defensive linemen, and it paid off. I mean, they shut down the run. They made Utah one-dimensional. They made Devin Gampier throw the ball, and he turned it over twice, like Houston said. I mean, their schedule, their hardest opponent, I think, might be BYU. Like, I easily see them possibly going 12-0 into the Big 12 championship. Like, they might have one of the easiest roads right now to the college football playoff. So.
I agree. I think that we could potentially see a rematch between Utah and Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. And now I want to pose this. Let's say both teams win out. They meet again. Does the Big 12 get 2 teams in to the playoff? If Utah beats Texas Tech, then?
Utah's 11-1 in that scenario.
Utah's 12-1 with the conference championship, and they get the automatic bid. Would Texas Tech get an at-large bid, being 12-1 as well, losing in the conference championship game?
Easily. How do you leave Texas Tech out? If they go 12-0 and they lose one game in the conference championship to a Utah team that people have hyped up all offseason, I think it would be kind of asinine for them to leave them out, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I guarantee you, though, there would be controversy.
Oh, there'd be a lot of SEC and Big 12 donors saying, oh, the competition.
Exactly.
That is true, but come on.
That's absolutely right. But I think, a big thing for me is Texas Tech answered a lot of questions against Utah. We knew what their offense could do, but now we know there's a defensive presence too. And I think that that's going to be big when it comes to playoff resume at the end of all this thing.
We had a quarterback injury with Bryn Morton going down. Will Hammond stepped in. I was a big fan of Will Hammond as a high school recruit out of Hutto. He was a high four-star guy. He played really good at the Elite 11 camp his senior year. He gets to Texas Tech. He plays a little bit in the bowl game last year. Bryn Morton battled some injuries. He filled in. I wonder if there's a quarterback controversy going on, because I think people in that building like Will Hammond more. It's just Bryn Morton's the senior. Bryn Morton's been there longer. They trust Bryn Morton. If Bryn Morton's not 100% and Will Hammond keeps playing like this, do you see a quarterback controversy arising out of this?
I think it's already happening. I mean, I was researching yesterday. There's already articles all over about whether or not Morton, if he comes back, he's going to be the starter if this backup continues to play so well. So it's already happening. If the numbers keep going up, like I'm about to turn up to that bad money over there, we could see this easily be a change.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. The more Will Hammond plays, if he continues to play like he did against Utah, because Baron Morton had played some great games previously, but not against as tough of a defense as Utah has. And Will Hammond played an incredible game against them, so I agree with what Josh said completely on that.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, let's say they keep Baron Morton out a week or two just for precautionary reasons, just want to keep his health, and Will Hammond balls out. Why would you take him out?
Yeah.
You're the number 1 team in the Big 12. Let's say you're putting up 40, 50 points a game. I mean, why would you take him out? It makes zero sense. I mean, I agree with Josh. The article's already come out, and, he's a great quarterback. He's already showed he beat the hardest test on their schedule already, so why not?
Yeah. This reminds me a lot of 2021 Georgia with Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels. JT Daniels was playing good football until he got hurt. Stetson Bennett came in, and he was throwing for 400 yards a game, and they were blowing everybody out, and they just rocked with Stetson the rest of the way. I could see the same thing happening. Let's move on to a different game. Syracuse takes down Clemson at Clemson. This is a disaster scenario for Clemson, but we talk about winners first. Syracuse, they lose their quarterback to Steve Angeli for the rest of the season. They've lost so many players in the portal. Fran Brown still got his guys up, and they handled Clemson. What did you see out of Syracuse, and what was so impressive in that win?
I think they just played really good football at the end of the day. This is a Syracuse team that wasn't really as high coming into the season. They lost Kyle McCord, obviously, to the NFL draft, and just lost a lot of players that made them so good last season. For Clemson, though, I'm worried.
Yeah.
I'm really worried. Dabo Swinney is going on with these rants the week before the game, not looking good. He's on the hot seat for sure. But the problem with Clemson is they can't even buy him out of the contract. There's no match clause. So even if they buy him out or he goes to go coach another team, they can't adjust or move that money. They would essentially be burning money to keep him not only as the coach, but if he goes somewhere else, you're still going to pay him that clause and that money. So you can't get rid of him now.
Yeah.
Clay Klubnik, who's Clay Klubnik? Who's that guy?
Mr. Geocacher, that's who.
Cade Klubnik has not lived up to the hype that we saw coming into the year. This offense has had peaks and valleys before. They're in a crater right now.
Yeah, I agree. Houston?
I agree with that. Syracuse, you saw last week, Jonte Cook, the receiver out of DeSoto, Texas.
Yep.
Massive game.
Mm-hmm.
That young man looks like he's found a home finally after going through Texas and Washington. But to kind of continue to pour it on Clemson, they're 1-3 for the first time since 2009. Matthew, do you remember what you were doing in 2009?
I was 4 years old.
Yeah, that's just to highlight how long ago that was. So, Dabo Swinney, again, he's on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately see him progressing towards a Mike Gundy where he's done all these things for the program, and they're trying to keep him for that reason, but he's just not performing the same way that he was, half a decade ago. And, I was kind of looking at their schedule, and I think, where do they find 5 more wins to even make a bowl game with their schedule? I thought they're probably going to beat UNC, probably beat Furman. Who else are they going to beat?
Yeah.
Duke, SMU, maybe? But, I don't even know if Clemson makes a bowl game this season.
What's similar between Dabo and Mike Gundy?
Just the way that he's had success in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just seems like with the evolution of college football between NIL and then for Dabo, especially the transfer portal, it's almost like the game is passing them by. And I think that's what's stopping them from being successful now.
I think what you said right there, the game passing them by and the refusal to adapt
Yep.
to the modern college
Absolutely.
landscape. These are two guys that have been outspoken about how they don't want to use the transfer portal. They don't like the transfer portal. They don't like the idea of paying players. Well, you're seeing the results now when you don't want to do that. You have a fall from grace. Trevor Lawrences don't grow on trees.
Right.
Deshaun Watsons don't grow on trees. These kind of players that you want to get, you got to cough up for them. You got to pay. Clemson doesn't want to do it. They don't want to hit the portal, and now you're seeing the results on the field. Matthew, what do you think about the Syracuse game?
I mean, Houston kind of stole my talking points. I was going to compare it to the Mike Gundy thing, but I think it says more about Clemson than it does about Syracuse. I'm pretty low on Syracuse. I had Clemson winning that game, bouncing back in a big way, and winning by 2 possessions. But as I was watching this game, I was like, what is happening? I was honestly dumbfounded.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dabo Swinney is a great coach. You see all the interviews he does, but like Wyatt said, it's the refusal to adapt. And on my notes, it says, Dabo has been left behind. Gundy was left in the dust. I mean, these guys are guys who established these programs, brought them to the top of where they were, and now, since they are kind of refusing to adapt, we're seeing the effects of it.
Yeah. Let's move on. Indiana got Illinois at home. This was a game that I thought Illinois could cover the spread. It was a 6.5-point spread. I was like, man, that thing's kind of wide. I bet that Illinois can find a way to cover and keep this thing under a touchdown. They only scored 1 touchdown all game. Indiana put up 9 of them. 63-10, Indiana blows out the Fighting Illini. This was a top 10 ranked Illinois team. What happened?
I think really what happened is that this Indiana offense was kind of faded a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They hadn't played really anybody, but it was the adjustments that they made every single game that made this really good. And I mean, Kurt Signetti, foot on the gas doesn't even really put it how he had this offense going. Fernando Mendoza may have played himself into the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's probably a first-round pick if he continues to play like this. At the end of the day, they went out and got their guy Mendoza in the offseason like they got Curtis Rourke last season. This Indiana team is scary, and they're good. So,
yeah, I remember in the offseason, I was reading around on some different message boards, and I was on the Indiana one, and their insiders were like, hey, we just got Fernando Mendoza from Cal. This guy, we're getting from real NFL scout buzz. They project him as a first-round guy. He's got the frame, he's got the stature, he's got the arm. They just need to see the on-field results against quality competition. We've seen it so far this year, and there's a real world where Fernando Mendoza puts himself into being a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. I would have never predicted that a year ago.
Kind of building on what Josh said, you really see Indiana is building something on that sideline with Coach Signetti. The way that you can tell the way he coaches his guys, he's not focused on success, he's focused on the standard. Okay, they're up big against Illinois, and he's still getting in those players real. You know what I mean? They're just, if they make a mental mistake, he's doing that. Fernando Mendoza, incredible game. What was it, 21 and 23, and he had 5 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
The run game was phenomenal, just incredible yards per carry on the ground. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that Indiana goes 11-1 this year.
Yeah, Matthew, what do you think about Indiana and Illinois?
I totally agree with Houston. I like what he said. I don't believe their floor, in my opinion, is 10-2.
Right.
I mean, when you look at that schedule, the Big Ten, the way they're seeded is kind of weak. They play Oregon and Penn State at Oregon and at Penn State. And in my opinion, I honestly see them right now, the way both those teams have played. I see Indiana walking into Beaver Stadium and walking out with a W. I mean, Penn State's good. They got a lot of spring talk. Oh, Drew Aller, he's going to be this NFL quarterback. I haven't seen much from him. They've won all their games. They've done what they need to do, but I haven't been like, wow, Penn State looks like a contender. And you were talking about Illinois earlier in the year. Their win total was about 8.5, even though they were ranked so high. I'm not very high on Illinois, but beating that team by 53 points is no mere feat. So I'm very high on Indiana. I can see them easily going 11-2. I think 11-1. 10-2 is their floor in my opinion. And I honestly, if they go 12-0, I wouldn't totally be shocked.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Quickly, let's touch on the John Mateer injury. This was news that came out of nowhere after the Auburn game. John Mateer hits his hand on a helmet of a defender, breaks some bones in the hand. There's varying reports of how long he's going to be out. Some say a month, some say 6 to 8 weeks. Either way, this is going to be a big loss for Oklahoma, especially if they don't get him back for that Texas game.
Absolutely, no, I agree. When you take out John Mateer's carries in this running game, guys, they're around 120 to 150 in the country rushing.
Yeah.
That is huge. And this is not like last year where you take out Jackson Arnold, you have Michael Hawkins in there, you know, and he's able to play well. They have a tough schedule going forward. Right now, it's not too bad. They got Kent State today. Then they have Texas, which we know is a trap game for anybody going in who is the favorite. And then they get South Carolina and Ole Miss. They think Mateer will be back for Ole Miss. Not 100% sure. I'm worried because when you take a guy who's been playing at a Heisman level out of an offense, it can kind of shift momentum a little bit. And I just don't know if this defense is good enough to carry this team long term, especially with we don't know how long it is.
Yeah.
It's weeks, it can be a month, it could be longer if he has a setback.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stop us there. We're going to pitch it over to our next block. We're going to throw it up to commercial. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about UNT versus South Alabama, the game that's happening right behind us, and give you some predictions.
Why should you join Talons?
We are very welcoming to people who may be a little bit hesitant. There's people currently right now in our organization who are in leadership positions who were hesitant before to join, and they found out that they just loved the organization and wanted to be a bigger part of it. They post about the football games, everything they're doing, all their events that they host.
What's the best part about Talons?
I would say meeting new people, because the university, while it's a kind of small campus in terms of like physical land, there's a ton of people here. And so getting to meet all these people who have so much school spirit and love for this university and want to spread that to other people, it's kind of like a little miniature family that we're in.
Calling all adventurers, elves, and goblins, join us on a mighty quest October 30th at 7 p.m. in the Union Lyceum for live D&D at UNT. Enjoy a night of improv, giveaways, and live dungeon-inspired music.
Sipping's it done with most of them.
We'll meet 6 members of the Escrow Empire's special fleet.
A group of highly skilled magic users.
And melee fighters that work together to deal with wandering ghosts and spirits.
The door is open at 6:30 p.m.
So make sure to dress the part and wear your best costume.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up!
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Welcome back into Mean Green Game Day. We're going to take some stabs at what we think is going to happen throughout this big week of college football. This is one of the most loaded weekends in recent college football history. It's been years since we've had a weekend this stacked. You hear the crowd pop behind us. Something good must have just happened for UNT. It's a big eruption from the crowd. Before we get to the UNT game, Alabama, Georgia. I'm going with the Bulldogs on this one. Georgia minus 2.5 is one of my best bets. They have a 29-game home win streak. I don't think that gets snapped, and if it does, I'm cool being wrong that way. So I'm going to take Georgia minus 2.5. Georgia to win tonight against Alabama. Josh, what do you got?
I'm also going Georgia. Look, the SEC runs through Georgia all the way. This Alabama team has rebounded well with the loss to Florida State. But I do think that having the Dogs at home in Athens is a tough ask. Alabama and Kalen DeBoer have not done well on the road. Even going back to Nick Saban's final year, they haven't really been a good road team. I'm going with the Dogs. They run the SEC right now. I'm going Georgia.
Well, let me just start off by adding on to what Josh said about the way that Alabama's rebounded, and you see the way they played against Wisconsin. Ty Simpson, 24-29, he goes for 382 and 4 touchdowns. Ryan Williams, the young 18-year-old now, with a big game as well, with 5 catches for 162, 2 touchdowns. That being said, even though funny things happen in this game between Alabama and Georgia, the way that Alabama has been able to kind of own Georgia the last few years, you don't make picks because funny things happen. You make picks because of the numbers and what you see on the field. So I'm going with the Dogs to take down Alabama at home.
Yeah, Matthew.
I'm really scared, spoiler alert, I'm going the Dogs, but if there's one game that we're all going to get wrong, it's probably going to be this game, just the way it's gone the past few years. I mean, Florida State losing last night, shout out Houston for the bet on that one, but that doesn't improve my confidence on Alabama at all. And Georgia pulling that out versus Tennessee, I think I shows the caliber of what that team is under Kirby Smart. I'm going Georgia, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's by 2 possessions.
Yeah. Let's move on. Oregon travels to Penn State. It's the whiteout. It's a night game. I'll be honest with you. This was a game in the preseason. I was so confident in Penn State going into this one because Oregon was young. They got him at home for the whiteout. It was a good spot. And now that the season has started and the games have been played, Penn State has looked really bad. I've talked to a couple people, and some of them really do think that Penn State has been not showing anything. They've intentionally been letting off the gas against these inferior competitions to ramp up for this Oregon game. I just can't buy that. I have to go with what I've seen so far this season. I know Oregon hasn't played a team with a pulse yet, but I'm going to go with the Ducks to get a big upset win at Happy Valley.
I'm going with Oregon as well. Penn State is 1-23 in games against top 5 ranked teams since 2016. That's been the big thing with James Franklin and the Nittany Lions is they haven't beat the team. They played some teams that are okay, top 10 fringe teams. They kind of had it in the playoff last year, but they haven't beat a team like Oregon. I think Dante Moore is playing phenomenal. Look, they haven't really played anybody either, but I do think this Oregon team is really good. Even with the whiteout in a hostile environment, I really like their chances. Hill and Winningston are a monster running the football. I think that Dante Moore has been playing really good football, getting the ball downfield. I can easily see the Ducks winning this one. It's going to be kind of close because I feel like Oregon's run defense is not the best. They kind of struggled against Northwestern, but Dan Lanning was also very upset when that happened, so I have a feeling they've tweaked that a lot since then.
Houston.
So I'm going to start off by adding on to what you said about is Penn State maybe letting off the gas. I think that's even more of a reason to pick Oregon. Your mind's not in the right place all season. That is not the mindset of a winner, letting off the gas just so you can save up for the big game. I need to see James Franklin win the big one before I can pick Penn State, and I'm going with the Ducks for that reason, that more-to-more connection. Dante Moore, the transfer from UCLA, and DeCorey Moore from right down the road in Duncanville has been phenomenal all season long, and for those reasons that I'm going with Oregon in this one.
Yeah, Matthew, what do you think?
I think this is a classic contender versus pretender matchup. I'm going Oregon. I think it's going to be a very tight first half, but I think Oregon's going to edge them out in the second half and give me Oregon in Beaver Stadium.
Important to note, this is Dante Moore's first road start since he was a freshman at UCLA in 2023. I don't know how much of a factor that's going to be, but it is worth mentioning. Next game, LSU versus Ole Miss. I got the Tigers in this one. I think Trinidad Campbell has played so good for Ole Miss and as a reserve quarterback for Austin Simmons. We'll see how well he can actually play, but this LSU defense has been nasty so far this year. Matthew, you've been all over that. I got the Tigers in this one. Josh, who do you got?
I got the Tigers as well. Look, Brian Kelly's a little frustrated after the win against Florida. Blew up on a reporter, which, why would you ask something about the run game when they just won a football game? I digress. Look, this Ole Miss team is good, but they're not going to have Austin Simmons. Trinidad has been really good in his relief, but this LSU team kind of has something to prove. They're in a little bit of a mole right now. I think this is a good get-back game for them. It'll be really close. I'm going LSU.
Houston.
So kind of to differ from the two of you, I'm actually going to go with Ole Miss in this one. My reasoning for that was, ignore that. My reasoning for that, you have Cade Durham, you know, he kind of was the catalyst coming into this season. You thought he was going to be running the ball really well and get that LSU run game going on. But he really hasn't. He's only averaging 4.1 yards on the ground. Nussmeier has been mediocre at best. And in Austin Simmons' relief, I think that new quarterback that Ole Miss has is playing great. They blew Tulane out of the water, and I think we can all agree that Tulane, although not power, is a pretty solid football team. So I'm going with Ole Miss for that reason.
Matthew, what you got?
Well, y'all saw my reaction coming in this week. I looked at the rundown. Houston hadn't made his pick yet. I saw Wyatt and Josh were going to LSU. I'm like, man, I've been hyping up LSU all year. I think they got one of the best defenses in the entire league. But I think this is going to be an ugly, sloppy game. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to come down to coaches. And I like Lane Kiffin, especially after hearing he slid into Cindy Thomas's DMs and seeing all the TikTok edits with him, and Whit Weeks is dating his daughter. So I think this will be a get-back game for Lane Kiffin. I like him a lot more than Brian Kelly. I really don't like that Houston just went Ole Miss, but I'm going Ole Miss.
I'm going to jump ahead here. Let's go Ohio State, Washington. I got the Huskies in this one to upset the #1 team in the country. Washington is one of the most underrated teams in the country. The public's going to find out about him this week. I think Damon Williams is the best quarterback in all of college football, and I think that he will also explode onto the national scene. Jonah Williams is one of the best running backs as well. I mean, this team is loaded. Excuse me, Jonah Coleman. This team has been loaded from the start. The public just hasn't been on them because they had a down year under Jed Fish last year with his first season. Now in year 2, I think Washington's a much better team. What do y'all got in this one?
I don't know if it's fate or not, but the wind just tried to take away my notes. I'm going Ohio State here. Look, at the end of the day, this Washington team is really good. This will probably be the closest game out of all the games we pick. And look, going into Husky Stadium is a tough ask for a freshman quarterback wow, I can't talk right now. Julian Sayin, right? That's tough for a freshman guy who's played all at home going forward. But Washington is without their starting corner. Jeremiah Smith might have a field day going forward. This Washington run game is very good. I'm going to go Ohio State.
Kind of building on that, what really contrasts the styles, Washington 9th in both in rushing yards per game and rushing yards allowed per game. They're averaging 260 yards on the ground a game. They're only giving up 62.7. But Jeremiah Smith, man, he's averaging over 100 yards a game. I'm looking for the sophomore to have a big day, and don't forget about Carnell Tate as well. 12 catches, 219, 3 touchdowns, so I'm going to go with the Buckeyes.
Yeah, Matthew?
I like what Wyatt said. I think Washington's very underrated. I think they're a very good team, but I don't think they're that good. I like what Josh mentioned about the corner injury, and I think Ohio State just has too many weapons that they're going to assault Washington with. Give me Ohio State.
Let's move on to the main event. North Texas hosting South Alabama. The game's going on right behind us. South Alabama opened the game with a big touchdown drive. However, I'm still taking North Texas in this one. Josh, Stone Cold Steve Austin came through UNT. They've had the celebration with the cans, banging them together. Who do you got in this one, Josh?
I think it's only right that I go UNT. They just rebounded and scored. My guy, Miles Coleman, scored on that touchdown. Look, this is going to be a fun game. Chance to go 5-0 going forward. This is going to be a really fun game. Chance to go since the 1950s, 5-0.
Yeah.
Going to be a lot of fun.
Houston, what you got?
I'm going to agree with that as well and say that I'm going to go with UNT. I'm not too high on South Alabama. South Alabama, really kind of one receiving connection there between Davenport and the top receiver, Devin Voisin, with 27 catches and 360 yards. That makes up 47% of Davenport's yards. I think that UNT's secondary is talented enough to shut that down. I don't think that South Alabama's defense is good enough to keep up with UNT. I do think it is a little bit of a trap game because, like you mentioned earlier, okay, now Coach Morris, where's your head at? Okay, right? Like, are you reading the news or are you getting your team ready to play? And that's a tough task for a coach sometimes who doesn't have a lot of head coaching experience with some younger guys that haven't all been around, but I'm still going with UNT in this one, just roster to roster standpoint.
Matthew, what you got?
I think this game screams trap game. I mean, South Alabama, UNT is a -12.5 favorite. I think South Alabama is actually a pretty good football team. I think this is going to be a close game, closer than a lot of people expected. And I like Houston mentioned, they have one receiver with 27 targets, one with 15, and then the next guy is a tight end with 7. Then it goes 5, 5, 3, 2. So as long as the defense can shut down those 2 targets and limit the run game, I believe the defense will have a good game. Messmaker, I'll believe a continuous streak of 0 turnovers, and I think UNT gets a win.
Yeah.
I got one last thing, though.
Josh has got something to say.
I've got a lot of things to say. Look, this defense is playing lights out right now. They've been doing something on the sideline they've been doing since last year. It got on CBS. That's how big this is. Look, this defense has to have a big day for UNT to win. The crowd knows it behind me. They just agreed with me. At the end of the day, what did Stone Cold Austin always say?
Give me a beer.
He said, give me a beer.
What?
Give me a beer.
What?
For the FCC's knowledge, this is not beer, but, why not? Give me a beer, fellas. You know what? Let me get the Eagle Head, too, while I'm at it.
Yeah.
I'm taking the mean green all the way, baby. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
This is what it's all about, folks. This is college football. I'm Wyatt Schott. This has been Josh Ortega, Huston Hall, Matthew McDowell. Thank you for watching Mean Green Game Day, and we will see y'all next week. Woo!